Hello there you guys, welcome to another one of my live videos, and we're just going to be having more discussions about Jose Mourinho today on this current live videos. As I said, the description is in the box below. Manchester United hashtag best one dash, so that's the hashtag as well. So basically, in my opinion, considering yesterday's game, Jose Mourinho deserves this criticism. Now he's getting Manchester United, because basically now Manchester United is sitting in 8th, played 12 games of Premier League, lost 4 games already, conceded 21 goals, and this is our worst start to a season, especially under Mourinho. Moyes was no good at the job, he only lasted 9 months into the job. Van Gaal wasn't no good at Manchester United, he didn't have the correct philosophy, but we didn't even have a bad start as we have this season under Jose Mourinho under David Moyes. I think we were better off at this period under David Moyes, we were better off slightly under Van Gaal. Now. So this is the worst start we've had under Jose Mourinho, and we didn't even have as bad a start as this, as I said, under Moyes or Van Gaal. So it's just terribly getting worse and worse and worse. Or Van Gaal. So it's just terribly getting worse and worse and worse. We know we had been in a good run of form, but I blame the team. I blame Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho, I think the strappings of this club's basically too high for Mourinho, considering that he has got a good pedigree, but I don't think Mourinho's got a clue. His tactical game plan's wrong, he's tactically getting it wrong, and his team selection is currently wrong as well, as you basically saw yesterday. I don't even think Jose Mourinho knows his potential best 11. This squad is good enough to get top 4 at the end of the season, but it's just Jose Mourinho picking the right team in the games. But if you saw yesterday, there were fans carrying on that, man, why did Sanchez not start in the game? Why did Sanchez not start? Why did Mata not start? Because Mata, saved us midweek in the Champions League. Why did Mata not start? Why did Sanchez not start? What the hell are you doing? We know due to Paul Pogba's absence, you had to put someone else in that midfield. But why is he putting Marouane Fellaini in the midfield? He paid £50 million for Fred in the summer window, did Jose Mourinho, £50 million. Why is he putting Fellaini there instead of Fred? He should have played Fred in the midfield. Matic for me needs to be dropped as well because he's been in bad form recently. We know Jose Mourinho has a lot of respect for the play because obviously the only good thing I think about Matic, he has no tempo to his play at all. He's not quick on the ball. He loses the ball too easily. I think the only good thing about Matic is like 6 foot tall, so he's potentially good in the air. He's obviously worked with Mourinho in the past as well with Chelsea, so obviously they do have a good relationship, Mourinho and Matic. But potentially, I think Matic needs to be dropped. Maybe try to put Pereira in there. Herrera yesterday again. Herrera, I think he's mainly this season been substitutions. He's made substitutions appearances as Herrera, and I think he has done well lately, to be quite honest with that. I think yesterday Ander Herrera had a terrible game. I think Lingard, Martial and Rashford, that front three, I thought were appalling, especially in the first half. They didn't create well. But Martial scored 5 goals now in his last 6 games, but we were just too slow yesterday. There were no creativeness, there were no tempo. We parked the bus against Manchester City, so why was we playing defensively against Manchester City? Because we know we're going to get punished, with the quality, that they've got in their side. Basically Gundogan's 3rd goal, I think City had strung about 44 passes together at least, up until their goal. City had numerous chances. Potentially David De Gea didn't have to make any saves. Man United only had 1 shot on target all game, and that was from Anthony Martial from the penalty spot, of course. I think Lukaku, for me, he's a big game bottler. He has proven himself well in the past. He's Premier League proven. Mourinho paid £75 million for him. For me, I think he's too slow. I think his first touch is woeful, in my opinion. I think he loses the ball far too easily. Does Romelu Lukaku. He had been dropped in the last 2 previous games before yesterday. He didn't start yesterday. He came on as a substitute because we know Rashford and Martial have been full in his spot. But for me, in that midfield, Jose Mourinho needs to get his tactics right. He needs to get his team selection right, which he hasn't been doing recently. Against Juventus, I credited Jose Mourinho in the Juventus game, because basically, he brought them 3 substitutions on, and that made the difference, and it got us the win. Juventus, but yesterday we wasn't at all. We was slow. We couldn't even string 2 or 3 passes together without losing the ball. We didn't cause a threat whatsoever. Defensively, we were awful yet again. Jose Mourinho's looking to address this in the January window. Reportedly he's going to get around £100 million. Jose Mourinho said in his press conference yesterday in the Manchester City game, basically we it was defensive errors that Manchester, which Manchester City is going them 3 goals. He said, why go on statistics? He said people who go on stats don't. What did he say now? People who go on the stats don't understand football. This is what Mourinho had said in his press conference, and he says now we have to get a string of wins together now for Manchester United to get the top 4, because he was convinced before Mourinho that we would get the top 4 by Christmas. We have been in a good run of form lately, but this is just absolutely atrocious, and the performances need to step up. We know Mourinho's had disputes, especially with the top players, since he's come to Old Trafford. But for me, I think these group of players, getting the best out of Mourinho. Is Mourinho, like the same for Mourinho? Is Mourinho getting the best out of these group of players? I think he's still playing players out of positions slightly. But yesterday, for me, Mata should have definitely started. You see, Mata, I think he opposite himself well in that number 10, but he can play on the right-hand side as well. For me, that right-hand side needs exploiting at Manchester United. Defensively, we need to improve in defence as well. Considering we're not in the commanding position that we should be in. We spent £1 billion all in all the managerial areas. We've spent just under £400 million on 11 players since Jose Mourinho's come to the club. He's got a fantastic pedigree. He's won titles everywhere he's been as Jose Mourinho. And just think, he hasn't got the philosophy at Manchester United at the moment. I don't think he has a clue what he's doing at the club. Sometimes he does get it right tactically, but a lot of the time he's getting it wrong as Jose Mourinho. And, this is a lot worse than last season. We're sitting 8th, we're 12 points behind top place, we're 7 points behind top 4. This is just not the old Manchester United at all. Last season we lost the league by a huge deficit. Manchester City won it by 19, 20 points, don't get me wrong, but we finished second. But look where we are now. This is our worst start to a season, especially under Mourinho and overall for absolute years. Moyes didn't have the stature at Manchester United, but we didn't even start this bad under David Moyes in the first 12 games. Even under Van Gaal, we didn't even start this bad under Van Gaal in his first 12 games either. And I don't think we potentially conceded 21 goals. And as a rare record, atrocious this season. We've only won three away games all season in the Premier League. We've already had 4 defeats out of 12 games under Alex Ferguson. We'd probably lose 4, 5 or 6 at the most in one season, not bloody in the first 12 games. So basically you could say some of the players are not playing for Jose Mourinho. There has been talks of potentially, before the Newcastle game, regardless of that result, he was going to get sacked. So the performances are basically not up to scratch. We were lucky not to lose at Bournemouth. We were lucky not to lose against Newcastle. We stepped it up in the second half. We lost to City, obviously. We were lucky not to lose to Juventus midweek. I thought we was very, very lucky to win that game because we was on the back foot for the majority of the game. We invited pressure, in the Juventus game, just like we did yesterday against Manchester City. But Manchester City took their chances and punished us. Juventus didn't take their chances. And, Jose Mourinho turned around in that game and we luckily got in there with a 2-1 win. But we can't carry on performing like this. We've got to perform for 90 minutes and stop performing for one half. And or performing when we go behind, that's when the urgency seems to come. When Manchester United go behind, that's when Manchester United start to play. But Mourinho, for me, should have put Mata, put Lingard on the bench. He should have put Sanchez on, whether he were going to play him in central attack or whether he were going to play him on the left-hand side. He should have definitely put Fred in the midfield instead of Fellaini, because Fellaini is a long ball player. And when you've got a midfield of Fellaini and Matic, it's a very, very static midfield. As I said, it's a very, very static midfield. There's no tempo in that midfield. There's no creativeness. There's, in that, and it's going to be hard for us to get them balls through to the attackers, with a static midfield like that. But we had no tempo to a play. We're too slow on the ball. City were much quicker than us on the ball. And, they strung 44 passes, for their third goal. And every time Manchester United got the ball, we just looked lost for ideas, no penetration, no speed. And we just kept losing the ball far too easily as well. And defensively, we are atrocious as well. But Mourinho says basically, there's been talks about January. He said a couple of weeks ago he was going to reportedly get £100 million spending speaking January. For me, I think Manchester City are going to definitely win the league this season. Manchester United have still got big games coming up. They've still got big games coming up. We've still got Arsenal to play yet. We've still got Liverpool to play yet. And we're basically nowhere near on the same level as them teams. We're nowhere near on the same level as Liverpool at the moment. We're nowhere near on the same level as Chelsea at the moment. We're nowhere near on the same level as Man City. We're nowhere near on the European team, especially, we're nowhere near on the same level as Juventus. We're nowhere near on the same level as Madrid. We're nowhere near on the same level as Barcelona and all that. So we've got to try and graduate to this level so far. But I think with his manager at the moment, I don't think he's got a clue. Why would you go in? Why would you play defensively to start against Manchester City away from home? Why wouldn't you go out there, show some amount of desire and passion to try and basically get the result? Manchester United showed no character, no effort, nothing yesterday at all. The majority of the players were basically atrocious. Herrera had a terrible game. Matic again, bad game. Martial got his name on the score sheet. He's been performing well, fantastically well lately, but I don't think he played well yesterday. Lukaku, fair enough, he got us the penalty, but I think Lukaku's still got issues. He hasn't been on form this season for United. For me, I'd have potentially preferred another number 9 to Lukaku. I'd have preferred Morata over Lukaku, as I said. I'd love Aubameyang because Aubameyang's good in the air. His finishing products is good. He can score goals very, very well as well. Aubameyang, but obviously he's at Arsenal now, so we can't get him. But you can compare Jose Mourinho now in Jose Mourinho's position. Basically, he doesn't have the philosophy like, Jurgen Klopp's got a good philosophy at Liverpool. He's addressed their problems. He spent just under £400 million since he's been appointed Liverpool manager. Jose Mourinho's comparison to Jurgen Klopp. Klopp's got a good philosophy. Jose Mourinho hasn't got the right philosophy at Old Trafford at this moment in time. Same with Pep Guardiola. Same with Pep Guardiola. He's got a fantastic philosophy. He's invested a lot of money into that Manchester City squad. As we all know, he's invested a lot of money. Good pedigree with Munich, good pedigree with Barcelona, and he's emulated that football he did at them teams, and he's doing it now with Manchester City. He's spent £1 billion on his managerial career. More than half of that has been spent on Manchester City. He's got City. You've got 3 Premier League titles now. He spent more than half that on Manchester City. But the difference is between, let's be honest, Pep Guardiola's got a good pedigree. Jose Mourinho's got a good pedigree, but the difference is Pep Guardiola's style of football is absolutely phenomenal, and Jose Mourinho's at Manchester United, especially at this moment in time, his style of football, his managerial style is absolutely atrocious, in my opinion. I just think some of the players are not playing for him, but he tactically got it absolutely wrong yesterday, because Sanchez should have started, Mata should have started, in my opinion, because Mata's a very, very good, consistent player, whether Mata stays at Old Trafford or not. It said reportedly Arsenal linked with him in the summer on a free transfer. Mourinho is looking to reunite with Juan Mata, because obviously he's worked with Mourinho in the past as Juan Mata, during his Valencia days. He was very, very good in his Chelsea days then. And he risen up the ranks with Real Madrid. He made 174 appearances for Valencia. He's been in the Premier League now 8 years, so he's got good experience of being in the Premier League. I think Mata's a very, very good, consistent player. He doesn't really have much pace, especially when he's on that right-hand side, but I think he's a calm, composed player. He has scored great goals in the past for Manchester United. He's coming to an end of his contracts, but I can't see Manchester United willing to sanction him off. But these players want to win silverware at Manchester United. They want to be up there competing. The expectation levels, when Mourinho got appointed manager, he has not met these expectation levels whatsoever, considering the amount of money that has been spent into the club. Obviously, Arsenal are interested in him, obviously, to replace Aaron Ramsey, because he's a good box-to-box midfielder. I think he'd complement our midfield fantastically well if Manchester United were to go for Aaron Ramsey. Arsenal have told him he's not getting a new contract. He was very, very good in his Cardiff days when he did something for like 8 years as a youngster. But definitely the right-hand side needs addressing. The midfield, Matic and Fellaini, just do not complement our midfield whatsoever, because there's no tempo to play, there's no creativeness from both players. I think Fred had made a huge difference yesterday if he was playing over Fellaini. It's a shame that we didn't have Paul Pogba there. It just tells our midfield totally collapses, in my opinion, without Paul Pogba there. But when you especially put Matic, Fellaini and Herrera as a midfield three, there's no creativeness in that midfield. It's just totally static. So where the pass is going to come from to create attacks, it's not going to happen now, is it, guys? So we'll just have to see what happens in the January window. But this squad at this moment in time, as we've got, is good enough to win. He's good enough to at least be competing for the top 4. Deep down, it should be good enough to basically win the fucking Premier League title, considering the amount of money we fucking spent on players. But yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. But basically, for me, high potential, best 11. Jose Mourinho after the international break needs to get it right in the Crystal Palace game at home. You know, it's a shame we lost yesterday. I got, you know, I'm gutted because I hate City, but they're a great, fantastic team. A lot of money's been put in that team. They play fantastic, fantastic football, and they're punished us. Simple as that. You can't argue. You know, Manchester United basically weren't in the game. City didn't even have to get out of second gear, you know, to beat us. They won at best, but they dominated the game, so that's why they won the fucking game. And why we're parking the bus. As I said, you know, tactically Mourinho's getting it wrong when Roy's were here. He were getting it wrong. He were bidding defenders on for strikers. He didn't have a clue at the club. Van Gaal's philosophy wasn't good at all. That's why Van Gaal went, you know. And now it's happening with Jose Mourinho. To be quite fair, I didn't expect this to be happening with Jose Mourinho at Manchester United because I know everyone said he was a great manager. I know he's a great manager because he's had fantastic experience of winning so where else he's been. But it's just not working at Manchester United. Since he's come to this era, it just really hasn't worked out. He's won 3 trophies since he's come to the club. But yeah, there has been talks reportedly. If Jose Mourinho was to get the sack from United, who would you bring in to manage Manchester United? A manager that would come in and, you know, whatever manager it is, we know there's been talks about Zidane. There's been talks about Conte. But would this manager come in and suss out if these players were good enough for Manchester United? Would he get a clear out, get rid of quite a lot of the players and bring new players in? But Jose Mourinho should know how this team works now, and he should realise, and we know he's arrogant, he should realise, you know, tactically how to get it right, because this is his 3rd season in the process. It's just like year 1 again. But you've got to be starting Sanchez in that game yesterday. You've got to be starting Mata. You've got to be starting Fred in that midfielder we paid £50 million for. He's got to be Ashley Young, in my opinion, more of a right winger than a right back, as I said, because Ashley Young during his England days, Ashley Young for England plays as the right winger. During his Villa days, he played as a right winger as well. But for me, I just don't know what's happening at this club at the moment. Potentially, you know, I just do not know, because these players are comparable to the players Alex Ferguson had, the success Fergie achieved for nearly 3 decades. You know, we had a lot of bad games, you know, but we just knew how to grind results out. That fear factor was there, that confidence was there. To me, what I saw this Manchester United team, we just look like we just don't have any confidence in us at all. And this is what I'm basically thinking in my head, guys. But yes, as I said, there has been talk in the press about potentially Conte replacing Mourinho. It talked about the other week that Real Madrid wanted, Florentino Perez wanted Mourinho back at Real Madrid. But he's just not Mourinho's not emulating the football he did at Chelsea, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Porto. He's just not emulating that football he did there to Manchester United, and he hasn't emulated that football here. I'm afraid his style of play is not good. The performances are absolutely atrocious. So basically, there has been talks in the press. Conte, who was obviously played for Juventus in his career, he also managed Juventus, won honours with them, also won Premier League and FA Cup with Chelsea, obviously managed Atlanta as well. Would I want Conte in the club? No. He's got a fairly decent pedigree, Premier League proven, obviously, because he managed Chelsea. Zinedine Zidane, you know, potentially would I like him? He did very, very good with Real Madrid, had a good pedigree with Madrid for a lot of years. You know, he did well when he managed Juventus as well. Confirmed a month or so ago that his representatives he'd been in talk with his current representatives about potentially coming to managing English football. You know, there's been talks, you know, that I heard about Jardim, who'd recently just been sacked from Monaco. Now, Thierry Henry's taking over. So would you like basically a new manager to come in, change the style of play, and suss out whether these players are good enough for Manchester United or not, and address their problems, see who needs to go, see who needs to stay. But my opinion, there's been talks in the press. Jose Mourinho, has missed out on a lot of potential targets. He has missed out on, Harry Maguire, Toby Alderweireld. Now he's interested in Nathan Ake from Bournemouth. A couple of other teams are interested in him. We've been linked to a Bale since like 2013. Man United never got him. Come out in the press the other day that Real Madrid, if they are to sanction him off, will be demanding around that they want £100 million for him. He's good in the air, he's quick. But the only thing that would concern me about Bale, that he's injury prone, is Gareth Bale. So that's one thing that would concern me about him. He has been at Real Madrid now, is it 5-6 years? Real Madrid paid £86 million for him from Tottenham. He's Premier League proven, good with Tottenham, good in his Southampton days as well. But he's injury prone, and that's what would concern me about Gareth Bale. We've heard the rumours since 2013, since the David Moyes era that Man United have been linked with Bale. It's never processed through. It's never happened. I'd love Ivan Perisic at Old Trafford. Good two-footed player, good in the air. I think he's 27, 28. Can put balls into the box. But yeah, Sanchez has failed to make an impact since he's come to Manchester United. As I said, he's really failed to make an impact. PSG reported interested in him last year. He's on £500,000 a week. He's Alexis Sanchez. Reportedly, PSG could go for him in January or go for him next summer. A lot of Manchester United fans want to see him out because he was good during his Arsenal days. You know, we've only had him since January, so maybe could potentially give him time, you know, to try and make an impact of himself. He was very good his Arsenal days, very good with London. He's very good with Barcelona as well. But he just hasn't. He just failed to establish himself well in the Manchester United team. He should have started against Man City. He should have started Sanchez in a big game. He did bring him on as a substitute, but I think he should have put him, you know, started him because he started Sanchez midweek against Juventus. He put him in that central position because obviously Lukaku wasn't playing. You know, whether, you know, he should have started him against Manchester City yesterday, whether he'd have put him in a central position to fulfill Lukaku's spot, or put him on the left-hand side. Regardless of that, I still think he should have, you know, put him on yesterday. He usually plays in that number 7 position, but he just really hasn't made an impact since he's come to Old Trafford as Alexis Sanchez. So reportedly, we could see him leave in January or next summer. Mata could leave, but if Man United are going to sanction him off, they'd rather cash in for their player rather than let him go on the 3 next summer. As I said, Mourinho is keen on the player. As I said, we've got other players. We've got a lot of players coming to end their deals. You know, you've got Ander Herrera in that team. Basically, I thought Man United are willing to negotiate about securing him a new deal. Ander Herrera, who's been making substitute appearances this season, he was getting a lot more regular game time under Van Gaal from the start. He has started from the beginning in his last 2 games as Ander Herrera. To be quite fair, he has been playing well recently, but I think against Manchester City he was very bad yesterday. Was Ander Herrera. So he's coming to an end of his deal. We've had him since 2014, so I think this is his 4th or 5th year now with Manchester United. Is Herrera's. So I think, you know, so reportedly Man United will want to secure him a new deal as well. You know, Paul Pogba. As I said, Juventus could potentially make a move for him back in January. He's been at Old Trafford since 2016. Obviously, he didn't feature yesterday because he was injured. Was Paul Pogba. You know, with very good journeys, Juventus days. You know, he went on us with them, made 179 appearances. He's had disputes with Mourinho as well. Reportedly, Riley Ola, who's the agent of Paul Pogba, has confirmed that the relationship now between Mourinho and Paul Pogba has been fixed, and now all of a sudden they're getting along now. But he has, since he's come to United, Pogba, he's supposed to be our most central midfielder, but he hasn't really established himself well in the Manchester United team, Paul Pogba. But I just don't think he's used to playing in the Premier League, Paul Pogba, as he was. You know, I thought he was more used to playing in the Serie A with Juventus than he is at United. I can't see Manchester United set sanctions anywhere. Defensively, you know, Bailey needs to get back in the team as soon as possible. We know Small and Lindelof have been playing as a centre-back partnership recently. For me, they need to get back in. Bailey needs to get back in the team. I think Jose Mourinho needs to give Pereira the chance. So, what you know, Bailey, AC Milan are reported linked to him as well. So Jose Mourinho would rather cash in for the player in January rather than let him go on a free next summer because he's going to end of his deal back. I can't see Man United sanctioning Bailey off because he's still a good, composed and a strong tackle in that defensive area. Being at Old Trafford since like 2016, we paid £30 million for him from Villarreal. You know, Luke Shaw's getting a lot more game time this season on that fullback position. You know, he had disputes with Mourinho, was it last season, something like that? He didn't get a lot of game time last season, Luke Shaw. But for me, you know, Romelu Lukaku, his comparison to how he was last season. Last season, Lukaku was in fantastic form. But this season, he just hasn't found his form. We know he's recently been injured. He came on as a substitute against Man City. You know, as I said, he got us the penalty. But everyone talked about him being a good game battler. Everyone talked about it. You know, we've had great players over the years, as I said. But Lukaku is a good player, don't get me wrong. I just think he's a big game bottler. His first touch isn't that good. Sometimes his finishing's poor as well. Sometimes it can be good. But I just don't think he has any tempo to his play. So Crystal Palace, Matic needs to be dropped. I think he needs to try being Pereira in or even Pereira in, start Fred. That's what Mourinho should do. Maybe give Doyle the chance as well. We know he just recently suffered a knock injury as well. You could put Doyle in the right back position. You could put Valencia in the right back position, but Valencia has been injured recently with a mouth injury, though, hasn't he? So my preferred starting 11 for this to work for Manchester United to be up there, getting some wins on the board, was my best starting 11 would be potentially De Gea. Luke, probably Doyle or Valencia at that right back position. Centre back partnership, either Bailey or Lindelof, or Bailey and Smalling. Left back, I'd put Luke Shaw. The midfield three, I won't count Fellaini in there. This would be my best preferred 11. I don't think Jose Mourinho knows his best 11, so I go De Gea in there. Valencia or Doyle at right back. Centre back partnership, I'd either go. Centre back partnership, I'd either go with Bailey, Lindelof, Bailey, Smalling, and I'd go with Luke Shaw at left back. As a midfield three, I'd go with Pereira, Fred, and who else would you put in? Pereira, Fred, and Herrera. Or I'd go with Fred. I would go with Fred, Herrera, and Matic. Matic needs to be dropped anywhere, but I'd still put Matic in there sometimes. So I'd either go with Fred, Herrera, and Pereira. Or I'd go with Fred, Herrera, and Matic. And obviously Pogba added in there. So midfield three, I'd either go with Pogba, Fred, and Pereira. I'd go with Pogba, Fred, Herrera, or Pogba, Fred, and Matic. And I won't count Fellaini in there as well. It's 4-3-3, by the way, this. And on the left, I'd go with Martial. On the right, I'd go with Mata. And up front, I'd go with Sanchez. Or what I'd do is I'd go with Sanchez on the left. As a front three, I'd go with Sanchez on the left, Mata on the right, or Rashford or Martial up front as well. So potentially, that's my best starting 11. I'm going to publish it on now, my lineup 11, what I think Mourinho should go with, what potentially I think Manchester United's best starting 11. So I will publish it on soon. I will publish that on soon as well. So what do you reckon? We should be more of a commanding position. We should be in. Tell me your opinions and views on it, guys. We shouldn't be in this position. We shouldn't be 8th in the table. We shouldn't have lost to teams that we lost to this season, Brighton and West Ham. We shouldn't definitely losing to teams like that. So Jose Mourinho needs to step up and turn this around at this club, as I said. He needs to definitely turn this around, does Jose Mourinho. So I want to know your opinions on it. Drop your comments as well. For my opinions on Mourinho, he's a great manager. He hasn't got the philosophy right at Manchester United. He's tactically getting it wrong. His team selection's wrong at the moment. And he's still playing players slightly out of position, in my opinion. So he did a lot wrong yesterday. I thought Juventus midweek in Champions League, I thought, was on the back foot for most of the game. But I credited Jose Mourinho in that game. Bringing them 3 good substitutions on that changed the game round. I criticised Mourinho on the first game against Juventus at Old Trafford because we was dominated, we was outclassed for the majority of that game. Where was Jose Mourinho's plan B in that Juventus game in the home fixture against Juventus in the group stage? We lost 1-0. Where was our plan? Where was Jose Mourinho's plan B? He didn't even bring a substitution on, and he could have brought players on there that could have changed the game round in that first game against Juventus at Old Trafford. He didn't bring Fred on again. Fred should have been playing yesterday. Fred should have been playing yesterday in that game, definitely, or at least brought him on as a substitution. But he didn't do that, did Jose Mourinho. And that is very disappointing as well. So anyway, I want to know your opinion. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care. God bless, guys. And there will be definitely more live videos coming up soon. Bye.